Well, welcome everyone. We appreciate you being here tonight. We're excited to offer this training to you on the art of sales. And I'm Jess Clifford from Jess Clifford Marketologies. I'm a marketing coach that specializes in assisting and coaching businesses in learning to turn outward so that they can connect with their markets within their organizations and everyone they touch in order to improve their business, in order to double, triple, and sometimes even 10x their business, as well as to deepen those relationships that they have in the new market that we have today. So I want to introduce you to a good friend of mine. This is Hugh Liddle from Red Cap Sales. He'll be our presenter today. I met Hugh about a year ago, and Hugh is, I'm going to read to you a bio from Hugh in just a moment, but I want you to know that this man, what you're in for today is a great treat, and you're going to learn about something and an approach to sales I think that you'll find very new and refreshing. And I've taken the training that you're about to hear about today, and I want you to know that I've never looked back. It's a great experience. So with that, Hugh Liddle, the sales wizard, has an extremely large and very special goal. He wants to change the way the world perceives sales and salespeople. And so for a long time now, sales and salespeople have had a really bad reputation and often well-deserved. Because the process of selling has been seen as a type of competition between the seller and the buyer. Hugh is the sales wizard, and after 40 years of in-the-field sales and sales management experience, he founded Red Cap Sales Coaching so that he could teach business people to sell in a different way and in an authentically human way that connects the seller and the buyer together in a mutually beneficial relationship. The man with the red cap that you're about to hear from today is an accomplished author, speaker, and radio talk show host. And he's helped large numbers of business owners and salespeople achieve outstanding results. As a public speaker, Hugh has motivated large business audiences right across North America. Now, when Hugh takes off his red cap, you'll find him residing in Sebring, Florida. That's where he's speaking to us from today. And he lives there with his wife, Priscilla, with Mooch and Minnie, the cats. And we can't forget Jasmine, the dog. He has 6 children and 12 grandchildren and 2 beautiful great-grandsons. So hopefully they're okay with being called beautiful. And he has also a large following of grateful business friends that he's helped over the last 40 years. So he enjoys playing the guitar and the bass, and he sings and writes music. So with that, I'd like to turn your attention to Hugh Liddle and our training today. Thank you.
Well, thanks very much. And we really do appreciate you taking some time to come and be with us tonight. You know, there are so many things that you could be doing with your time. Probably if we counted them all up, it would probably be in the thousands, maybe the tens of thousands of different choices that you could make. And you've chosen to come and learn some things about selling. And I wanted to tell you where my nickname, the Sales Wizard, came from. It really kind of started out as a joke. And one day before I left for work, I looked at my wife and started to sing. And I sang, "I'm off to be the wizard, the wonderful wizard of sales." And we both laughed. And it got to be a joke around the house. And then we got to talking about it one night and said, you know, people who are wizards at things, first of all, have probably just been doing it for a long time and have learned how to do it well. And I've been selling for over 44 years. And in that time, I've learned an awful lot. I've made an awful lot of mistakes. I've done a lot of things and said a lot of things that I shouldn't have, and sometimes it didn't work out very well when I did that. And so I learned from that and went on. And one of the reasons that I started Red Cap Sales Coaching, and one of the reasons that I do webinars like the one that we're doing tonight, is because you can learn to shortcut the system when it comes to learning to sell. You don't have to do what I did and just learn a little bit at a time as you go along by making mistakes. You can avoid the mistakes that are very often made by salespeople that cause them not to do well in sales. And you can also learn some skills and some attitudes that will help you become absolutely excellent at sales in a very short period of time. So in our time tonight, I wish that I had about a year to talk with y'all about selling. Jess told me I could only have an hour or so tonight. And so we are really going to just talk about the snowflake on the tip of the iceberg tonight. And we're going to try to pack as much value as we can into this hour. And at the end, Jess is going to give you a little bit of information about how you can get more training and more help and more information about selling. And after Jess talks with you about that, and Ryan Salazar, who is with TACT, is going to tell you about the program that they have that assists local business people in getting the kind of training that we're presenting to you tonight. And after Jess and Ryan talk with you for a little bit, I'm going to come back and I'm going to share with you the two most important secrets when it comes to being a successful salesperson. The two things that you need to know, that you need to put into action, that you need to do if you really want to be great at selling. I probably am talking with some people who have been selling for a while, and you may already be very good at it. You may have some really great skills. And because of that, I want to tell you a quick story about Segovia. Segovia, in his lifetime, was the premier classical guitarist in the world. There was nobody as good as him. There probably hasn't ever been and probably never will be anybody as good as Segovia was. And when Segovia was 80 years old, he was still practicing his guitar 3 hours a day. And somebody said, Andres, why do you practice so much? Everybody else in the world is trying hard to be half as good as you are. Why do you do that? And Segovia said something very profound. He said, you know, I think I'm beginning to notice a little improvement. And when Segovia was 93 years old, he passed away. When he did, he was still booked at Carnegie Hall in New York. He was still that good at that age. Now, I think that the moral of the story probably is pretty evident, but I'll share it with you anyway. No matter how old we get or how good we get at what we do, we still have room to learn and grow every single day. And so even the sales wizard, I must tell you that I am a voracious student of selling. I read everything I can get my hands on. I go to seminars and webinars. I listen to audios and watch videos about sales. And last year, I spent about 8 weeks with another sales coach who coached me. It's really, really important to continue to get better. And we can't be the best that we can possibly be at selling our products and our services unless we learn to become really great at selling. Selling all starts out with the way that we see ourselves. And it's very common for people to be a little bit shy or embarrassed about being salespeople. But the truth of the matter is that all of us do sell. Chris, you're married, right?
Yes.
Do you have a pretty good-looking, wonderful wife?
Of course.
Man, you are a salesman. And the fact is that if, all of us guys married up, I mean, that's just the way it is. And, the fact of the matter is that if you're married, if you have children or grandchildren, if you work for somebody or somebody works for you, if you have friends, if you go to church someplace, you are selling all the time. Because selling is nothing more than sharing ideas that you have and that you're excited about with other people to try to help them and try to make their lives better in some really significant way. My wife would be the first one to tell you that she's not a salesperson at all. She says, I don't like it. I don't want to do that. I would never be a salesperson. I don't really see how you do it, and I just don't do it. Well, about 3 years ago, my wife convinced me that we really needed to move to Florida from Colorado. That's how good a salesperson she is. And she gave me some really great reasons, some really great things about moving to Florida. And I really wasn't sure that I was going to like Florida that much. But I moved here, and I absolutely love it. And I'm so glad that she sold me on the concept of moving to Florida. I miss a lot of things about Colorado. Two things that I don't miss are shoveling snow and driving in it. So, it was really kind of a good move for me. But my wife sells, and you sell, and your children sell. In fact, children are the very best sales people in the whole world until somehow they get educated out of it and somebody lets them know that it's not okay to do that. Children are just naturals at it. From the time that they look at mom and dad and figure out that if they cry, they're probably going to get changed or get a bottle. Or if they laugh and smile and giggle, that mom and dad are just going to be all enthralled and pick them up and love on them, and they're getting the strokes that they need. Children learn how to sell. They learn how to sell themselves. They learn how to have what they need. So when you think about yourself as being a salesperson, how do you see yourself? Is it, sometimes we look in the mirror and what we see there is quite different from what really is realistic. Now, the little girl in the picture that we just had up was looking in the mirror, and she saw a very clear reflection of herself. This person is looking in the mirror, and what they see there isn't what's real at all. I've been told that people sometimes with eating disorders look in the mirror and they see somebody who's grossly overweight and really needs to lose weight, and we look at them and we say, oh my goodness, that person is just skin and bones. And if they don't get a sandwich in the next 15 minutes or so, they're probably going to starve to death. And so what they see isn't real. So when you look in the mirror of your mind and you think of yourself and you see yourself as a salesperson, is this the guy that you see, the stereotypical used car salesman that is obnoxious and nobody wants to talk to him, and he tries to get you to do things that you don't want to do and spend money that you don't want to spend, and you just hate going to see him? Or maybe do you think that the people that you're trying to sell your product or service to see you that way? Is that a fear that you have, that maybe you're going to be perceived in that way? Or is it the guy who talks and talks and talks and he never leaves and you can't get rid of him, and I love the guy back in the corner going, ah! Because he's not happy with that salesperson at all. So is that what you think about it as you think about yourself as a salesperson? Or are you afraid that that's how your prospect is going to see you? Sometimes when we go out to sell, maybe we're thinking about the upcoming sales conversation as being a competition where somebody has to win, somebody has to lose, and man, I better win because I've got to make the money, I've got to have the commission, I've got to support my family, I've got to pay the bills, I've got to do all of those things. And so I've got to think of some way to get that other person to do what I want them to do. I have to win the battle. Or do you think maybe sometimes that's the way your prospective client is thinking about the upcoming sales conversation, that they have to win and that it's a competition? These two young ladies are two of the best salespeople that I ever trained. They are absolutely wonderfully tremendous. You look at those two faces, don't they just look like somebody it'd be really fun to have a conversation with and hang out with for a while? Man, they really are. They are just wonderful people. They're still good friends of mine. And they're up in Colorado. I talk to them on a regular basis. We see them every time we go up and visit in Colorado. And they're wonderful people. When you think of yourself as being a salesperson, do you think about yourself as being a wonderful person that anybody would love to sit down and have a conversation with? What do you think that other people think of you? And what do you think of yourself when it comes to selling? You see, it's very, very important that you believe in yourself, that you believe that you're great at selling, that you believe that your product or service is the very best thing that anybody could possibly do, that the company that you represent or the company that you own is the very best, that there's a high integrity level, that they treat their employees well, that they treat their customers or their clients well, that they're honest, that they do what they say that they're going to do, that they provide great customer service. And if you don't represent a company like that, that you feel tremendous pride in and that you can be totally enthusiastic about, I hate to say this to you, but you need to find a company that you can feel that way about. It's absolutely vital. You see, I believe that there is an unseen energy that passes between a salesperson and a prospect. And that we get back, as salespeople, we get back from our prospects pretty much what we put out there. And so if we're not excited and enthusiastic, our prospect's not going to be excited and enthusiastic. If we're fearful, then our prospect is going to be fearful. If we're uncertain and we don't know exactly what we're going to say and we're nervous, our prospect is going to be really nervous. And they're probably not going to buy from us. So the way that we perceive ourselves, the mindset that we have about ourselves, our company, our product, and our service is the beginning point. It's all important. Another thing that's tremendously important when it comes to selling is knowing what to say. And not only what to say, but how to say it and when to say it. There was a study that was done in 1964 at UCLA, and the professor who did this study, I can't tell you what his name is because even if I could remember it, I wouldn't be able to pronounce it. It's an Eastern European name. You can look it up online, though, and it's in Wikipedia. And the study that was done was about communication. It was about communicating ideas and emotions and thoughts. And what they determined in that study was that when it comes to doing those things, to communicating those things with the people that we're talking with, only about 7% of the communication has to do with the words that are being said. 38% has to do with body language and voice inflection and tonality, the way that we say what we say to people. And the rest of it is facial expression, over 50% of it, how we look, the eye contact that we're making, whether we're serious, whether we're happy, what is it that we're saying to that person in communicating with our whole body and with our voice. And so it's very important in selling that we know what to say, how to say it, and when to say it. And so I'm going to make a suggestion to you that a lot of salespeople don't like, but I believe it's absolutely vital. And that is that you need to be scripted. You need to know when you're having a sales conversation, having a conversation is much different than doing a presentation. Having a conversation implies that there are two people at least involved in the process and that both are sharing ideas back and forth. Both are saying things. Sometimes they're asking questions, sometimes they're answering questions. And so there's communication that's going on there. At the same time, it's very important that you know what you're going to say and how you're going to say it in your part of the conversation. It's very much like a movie actor or actress or somebody on Broadway. Somebody on Broadway is gonna do the same play, if they're really lucky, for 3 to 5 years. And they're going to do a performance every night, and probably 2 on Saturday and 2 on Sunday. And they're going to have that script memorized, and they're going to work on it until they've put all of the emotion into it that they can, until they've put their personality into it. And they do it the same way every single time, night after night after night. Think about this. What would happen if an actor or an actress on Broadway said, I'm bored with this script. I think I'm just going to go out there tonight and wing it. I'll just say whatever I want to say and let the chips fall where they may. How good would the play be that night? And if they didn't go back to the script, how long would that play stay open? Probably not very long. You know, one of the great examples of what a script is designed to do and the emotion that it's designed to convey is a line in the movie A Few Good Men. Do y'all remember that movie? A Few Good Men. And Tom Cruise is an attorney, and he's got Jack Nicholson on the stand. Jack Nicholson is a colonel in the Marine Corps. And so Tom Cruise asks Tom Nicholson, he says to Nicholson, I want the truth. And Nicholson says, the truth? You want the truth? You can't handle the truth. Now, what if Nicholson had just said when he said that line, what if he had just said, truth? You want the truth? You can't handle the truth. If he had said it that way, it wouldn't be one of the most memorable lines in all of film. It is one of the most memorable lines. Everybody knows that line from that movie. And if you say A Few Good Men, oh yeah, you want the truth? You can't handle the truth. Everybody knows that because Nicholson rehearsed and he worked on it and he practiced until he did the line just exactly perfectly. That's what you need to do with your sales script, with your sales conversation. You need to know how you're going to convey to your prospect what they need to know. One of the things, by the way, that salespeople always say about scripts is, well, I don't want to have a script because if I have a script, then my presentation will sound canned. Zig Ziglar said, if your sales conversation sounds canned, you need to recant it. You need to practice until it doesn't sound canned anymore. There is an 8-step sales conversation, and your sales process needs to include every one of these 8 steps if you want to be successful at selling on a consistent basis. And the first step in that process is to build rapport. One of my heroes, a guy by the name of Jeffrey Gitomer, who's a sales trainer, says that people don't like to be sold, but they like to buy stuff, and they like to buy stuff from people that they know, like, and trust. And the process of building rapport is to allow your prospect to know you, like you, and trust you. And it's a process of asking questions, asking really good open-ended questions, and finding common ground. Just a little while ago, before we started the webinar, Jess and Chris were having a conversation with each other. And they were asking each other about work and about their lives, and they immediately found rapport and they immediately bonded because they have kids, and so just talking with each other and having that conversation I can't remember who asked who, how many kids do you have? And all of a sudden they were off to the races. They found common ground because both of them had kids. They had that thing in common. And we like people, we enjoy people, and we feel comfortable with people that we have something in common with. And so that process of building rapport, there's a very specific way to do it. And you need to work on it until you become very, very comfortable with it. Once you've built rapport, it's extremely important to establish an agreement between you and your prospective customer or client. There are a number of reasons that you want to establish that agreement. And one of the main ones is that your prospect they've already established an agreement with themselves. Or if you're selling to a husband and wife or business partners, they've established an agreement with each other. And that agreement is, we're not going to buy anything today. We're not going to write a check. We're not going to give them our credit card. We're not going to sign anything. We're not making any commitments. We're just going to get some information. And then we're going to tell them that we want to go home and think about it, or that we have to talk it over with somebody, and that we'll call them if we decide to do business with them. And if you don't change that agreement, if you don't establish a new agreement with your prospect, that's exactly what will happen at the end of your sales conversation. No matter how good a job you've done of sharing the benefits to them of your product or service, if you haven't established a new agreement, that's exactly what they're going to tell you. Well, we need to talk it over, we need to think it over, and we'll call you. And if they do that, then you've got to get involved in the chase, where you're trying to call them or you're trying to email them to find out what they decided, because very often they won't call you back. And so part of the agreement is that you agree that you're not going to try to get them to do anything they don't want to do. And they agree that they're just going to tell you whether they'll trust you to provide your product or service for them. So you're going to get, in most instances, you're going to get a yes or a no at the end of the sales conversation. And that's exactly what you want. A no is so much better at the end of a sales conversation than a maybe, or an I have to think about it, or I have to talk with somebody about it. And so that's one of the reasons for establishing an agreement. The other thing is that you want to let your prospective client or customer know what's going to happen during the sales conversation, and what decisions you're going to ask them to make at the end, and what's going to happen if the answer is yes, and what's going to happen if the answer is no. Believe it or not, your prospect is more nervous about the upcoming sales conversation than you are. Even if you're nervous about going out and selling, they're more nervous than you are. And the reason they're nervous is because they've come across a really pushy, aggressive salesperson someplace in their past, somebody who was really unpleasant when they tried to tell them no. And they're thinking, boy, that Jess is just a really nice guy. He's really wonderful. I wonder when the nasty Jess is going to come out. What's going to happen if I decide that I don't want to buy his services? You know, is he going to be nasty like the last guy was? And so you have to set their minds at ease. You have to help people relax. And establishing that verbal agreement is the way to do that. That verbal agreement has to be pre-planned. It has to be memorized. It has to be practiced over and over and over again until you could absolutely do it in your sleep. And it's extremely effective. In fact, my clients tell me that it's one of the most important things that I teach, that it sets the stage. It's the table of contents for the entire sales conversation that's going to take place. Well, once the agreement is established, the next step is to determine the prospect's needs. There are way too many salespeople in the world who, there's a technical term for it in the sales coaching world. It's called show up and throw up. And they just show up and they say, oh, we've got the greatest product in the world, and we do this and we do that, and we have the best customer service, and we're so much better than our competitors. And boy, we've got a great deal for you, and you want to buy, don't you? And it's all about me and I and we and us, and it's not about the prospect. It's so important in a sales conversation for us to ask great open-ended questions, and questions that get beyond the facts and figures and get down to the emotional basis, the emotions that underlie the facts and figures. And so let's say, for example, for a financial professional, if they're talking with somebody and they're asking about investments, and the person says, oh, well, I had a whole bunch of money invested in a 401k, and then the market crashed and I lost about 3/4 of it. And way too many financial salespeople will just kind of make a note of that and say, oh, okay, and kind of go along. And not say something like, wow, that must have been absolutely devastating. How do you feel about it? How did you take it? Wow, that's tough to draw out the emotion, because you see people make sales decisions based on emotion. They don't buy with their heads, they buy with their hearts. Even the most analytical person that you could ever run across, the one that before they buy a toaster, they read about 3 years worth of consumer reports, and they figure out which toaster has the best safety record and the best guarantee and lasts the longest and makes the best toast, and all of those things. And then they finally say, okay, I've narrowed it down now, and it's 3 months later now, and they say, okay, I'm going to get this toaster. We all know people like that. We've got people like that in our lives too, someplace along the line. Even those folks make buying decisions based on emotion, because the biggest need that they have is the need to be right. And that's why they research, and that's why they take so much time making a decision, and that's why they ask so many questions, because they need to be right. The worst thing that you could say to them is, wow, you made a really bad decision there. Boy, that was really dumb. Why did you do that? They don't want to hear that. And that's emotional. That's an emotional reason for making a decision and buying a particular product or service, because they're buying on emotion. Now, they may justify it logically. Well, I bought this because it does this and this and this and this, and it has this feature and this benefit and so on. It's not really why they bought it deep down. And ladies, you don't buy a dress because it's a great value and it's made of good material and it's going to last for a long time. Those things all may be true, but you buy it because it's cute and you look great in it and you feel really good when you put it on. That's emotional. It's not head stuff. That's heart stuff. You have to get down to the emotional level. And then helping the prospect find a solution. Because you're going to find challenges that people have, problems that they have, and you're going to find out that they have goals, things that they want to accomplish, or things that they want to have. One of the best descriptions that I heard of this process of helping find a solution is that your prospect is on an island, and it's not really a very nice island. It's out in the middle of the ocean, but there's a landmass that blocks the sea breeze, so it's always hot and it's always stuffy, and there's no trees, and the sun beats down on it, and there's all kinds of bugs that are on the island, and sometimes alligators crawl up on the island and try to bite your leg off, and it's just not a nice place at all. And from there, they can see another island. And this island has these beautiful palm trees, and there are some hammocks that are strung between the palm trees. And the landmass doesn't block the sea breeze from this island, so there's a lovely breeze that blows and keeps things cooled down. And there are fruit trees there, and it's just a wonderful place, and there's no bugs and there's no alligators. Now, and they want to be there so much, and they hate where they are now so much they don't want to be there anymore. They want to be over on that other island. Now, Chris, you sell orthotics, and and you help people's feet feel better. So the island that your prospects are on is that their feet hurt and they're miserable, and it hurts to walk, and it hurts to stand up, and it hurts all the time, and they just hate it, and they do almost anything to feel better. And they want their feet to feel good. They don't want to experience that pain when they walk. They want to be able to go to the gym and work out and not hurt all the time. And you see, you have the boat that gets them from one island to the other. You've got those wonderful orthotics that you make that help their feet feel better and help them do the things that they want to do and live the lives that they want to live. You improve their lives in some really measurable, significant way. And almost every product or service that's out there has something along that line. See, people aren't buying orthotics from Chris. People are buying feet that feel better and comfort and feeling good when they walk and not hurting, being out of pain. That's what they're buying. It's like somebody said, when a guy goes into a hardware store and buys a 1/4-inch drill bit, he doesn't want a 1/4-inch drill bit. You know what he wants? He wants a 1/4-inch hole. And the drill bit is that's just the boat that gets him to where he wants to be, where he has that hole that he needs in the wall. So we need to help our prospects find a solution. And our prospects, there's really only one thing, one question that's in their mind, one thing that they're asking themselves all the time. And that is, what's in it for me? How's my life going to be better? How am I going to solve my problem? How am I going to get that goal that I want to get? How am I going to do that? And so as we're helping them find a solution and we're having the sales conversation, again, going back to our salesperson who doesn't do it very well, it's all about, well, we do this and we help you do this and we provide this and we've got this great product or this great service and we do a wonderful job of customer service and we have guarantees and we do this and we do that. Your prospect doesn't care anything about you in a sales conversation, except as it relates to what you can do for them, what's in it for them. So my suggestion to you is that when you're offering solutions, you use you statements. Use them in the marketing that you're doing for your company. Use them in your sales conversation. You can get, you can have, you can do, you can learn, you can enjoy, you can be, you can have. Tell them what's in it for them and communicate that to them very, very clearly so that they really understand that. And I want to give you those most important things that you need to remember, the mindset that you need to have if you want to be truly successful consistently in selling your product or service. I want to make a point to you. And that is that you may already be very, very good at what you do. You may already be a really great salesperson, like we talked about before. And I want you to think about this. I am a Denver Broncos fan. Y'all are in Utah. I don't know whether you're Denver fans or not. But I really believe that Peyton Manning is one of the best quarterbacks that ever has played the game of football, probably the best. Nobody really needs to teach him how to play quarterback. In fact, he coaches other players. He's really, really good at it. But you know what? Peyton Manning has John Fox. He has a head coach. And he goes over to the sideline and he talks with John. He helps devise strategies. Peyton also has a quarterback coach who's on the sideline and sits down and talks to him. There's also an offensive coordinator who is one of his coaches. He sits up in the booth and watches the field from way up high. And they're seeing what Peyton is doing and what everybody else on the field is doing from a different perspective than Peyton is. And they're helping him devise strategies and make tweaks in his performance that help him perform at a higher level. That's what a marketing coach does in marketing. That's what a sales coach does in sales. That's what a business coach does in business. Tiger Woods actually has 5 different coaches. He has one for every aspect of his game. He's got a swing coach. He's got a short game coach. He's got a long game coach. He's got a putting coach. He's got a driving coach. He's got an irons coach. And if he had just hired a relationship coach, he'd be in a whole lot better shape than he is right now. Coaching is extremely, extremely important. And so Jess and Ryan are going to tell you how you can get more information, how you can get some coaching, and how you can do that in a very, very effective, efficient way. And so I'm going to introduce my partner, Jess, and also Ryan Salazar, who is with TACT, and have them talk a little bit about the new class that's coming.
Well, thank you. Isn't he great? Let's give Hugh a hand. I'd like to thank Hugh for what he's had to say. One of the things that I've really appreciated in my association with Hugh is something that our companies, both of our companies, share. It's a value that I've recognized in him and that has always been very important to me. And that is that we are dead serious about those that we work with being able to apply what they're being given and what they're learning, that they actually see results. I've seen that in the way that Hugh trains, in the way that he works and stays with the people that he works with, and also it's something that I've strived to do in my practice. And so we'd like to tell you a little bit about an offer that we're making to be able to learn in depth, in a very deep way, the things that you've heard about tonight and a lot more. We're offering, and we'd like to make you aware of a special course that we're offering in partnership with TACT Custom Fit that Ryan will talk about in just a moment. And this is a 6-week training that it dives very deep into what Hugh has been saying, not just in the principles, but in the application and in how these things are done. In this, you'll learn the secrets of successful selling. You'll also learn the specifics of how to put a script together, a script that feels natural, and a script that's effective for you so that you're not groping for what to say in a conversation. The other thing that benefits that I wanted to point out in this course is that you'll also get an autographed copy of Hugh's book, which is entitled Taking the Icky and Scary Out of Sales. Love that title, and he's offered an autographed copy of that book. Hugh and I have also offered, in conjunction with this course, 1 hour of one-on-one consultation, 1 hour with Hugh and also 1 hour with me. And so with Hugh, you'll have the opportunity to not only learn about selling, but to talk with him one-on-one about how that's working out for your business, to really talk with him about your experience with that, and to let him help you in your sales to point out the little things that you may not be seeing while you're on the field, so that you can improve. And then I will also help you with marketing and with the strategies and the approach that you're using to make sure that it's aligned with your market, to help you be able to align the solutions that you offer with the people that need them the most, the people that are already looking for you. You're going to learn some other things in this sales training. You'll learn how to sell with absolute confidence and no reservation about the morality or the usefulness of what you're doing for other people, so that you can be completely confident about those solutions that you're offering. You'll also be able to ask for the sale and to know how to do that in a way that's not obtrusive, in a way that's helpful. And in my experience, the way Hugh teaches you to do that, my experience is you'll often be asked to ask for the sale. when you follow the things that Hugh teaches you how to do. And then you'll also see the keys to seeing a substantial increase in the amount of sales that convert. So your conversion rates with your prospects as well as retention. And things like referrals, things like repeat business and how that's done, and how to craft that relationship and that trust with real integrity. And so we wanted to let you know about this offer. And the price for the 6-week training, and you'd pay many thousands of dollars for 6 weeks of training and individual coaching on this. The standard price for this training for the entire 6 weeks and all of the benefits that I've enumerated here is $997. Now, Ryan's going to tell us about Custom Fit. And in conjunction with Custom Fit, you have the opportunity for a 40% discount, which brings that to $598 for everything that we've listed here. And I want to tell you that this training, this offer, will pay for itself easily. In my experience, the experience I've seen with other people, it'll pay for itself easily, very quickly, as you apply the principles that you'll learn about here. So want to encourage you to register for this. There's a link provided here at the bottom of the screen that you would follow. Or if you've signed up and want to do that, you can just let me know, and I'll make sure that you're sent the necessary information to be able to do that, or that Custom Fit can get in touch with you. So at this point, Ryan, I think this is a good segue to have you come tell us about that.
So I'm Ryan Salazar, and I'm an employee here at the TACT through the Small Business Development Center. And we get the privilege of working with a program called Custom Fit. It's one of those programs that's, you can't believe that it's such a well-kept secret, and it almost seems too good to be true. But it isn't. It's free money from the government. They disperse it out to the individual applied technical colleges for business training. So if you're in business for profit and you're paying taxes and you want to develop yourself as a business person, then you have the opportunity to use Custom Fit to pay up to 40% of your training. The Red Cap sales training does qualify, so we would pay up to 40% for that training, but it applies to any training that a business person would want to go to that would cost money. And if we don't spend out our training dollars, then we don't get them the next year. So it's in our benefit to help you pay for your training. So if there are trainings that you want to have us help you pay for, then please contact us. And all the contact information is on the back of your pamphlet, or you can get hold of us through Jess through his link. Thank you.
All right, fantastic. We're going to go ahead and cut back to Hugh, and he's going to share with us those secrets that he promised to share with us. And then I think we'll be adjourned and open for questions.
I was just sitting back listening and enjoying that. And boy, Ryan, what a great program that is. That's just absolutely amazing. I don't think they have anything like that here in Florida. So quite an interesting, wonderful thing that you have going on there. The most important things that I could possibly share with you about how to be really consistently successful in sales, and if you don't take anything else with you from the session tonight, I want you to remember these couple of things. First thing is that your focus has to be in the right place when you're selling. It can't be about you. It's not about you when you're selling. You're thinking about the disagreement that you just had with your spouse, or about your kids, or about the stack of bills that you need to pay, or the sales manager who just told you that you had to sell something this week or you might lose your job. If your focus is there rather than on your prospect, then chances are very good that you're not going to be successful in completing sale. Not about you. It's about your prospect. It's about what they think. It's about what they feel. It's about what they want. It's about what they need. It's about their problems. It's about their situation. It's about the goals that they have. And if your focus is on them and how you can help them, they're going to sense that. They're going to feel that. They're going to know that. And chances are very good that they're going to buy from you. If they sense that your focus is someplace besides on them, chances are very good that they're not going to do business with you. Now, just think about this for a second. Have you ever had somebody have a sales conversation with you and try to sell you something? And it was something that you kind of wanted, and the price was pretty good, and they did a pretty good job of explaining it. And it got down to the point where they asked you to become their customer or their client, and you just got that nagging little feeling in your gut that I don't know what it is, there's just something wrong here, I don't feel good about going forward, I'm just going to tell them I want to think about it. Have you ever done that? I sure have, and I think most people who have had the experience of talking to a salesperson probably have done that. And what's going on in almost every case is that the salesperson's focus is on something else. It's on the commission that they're going to make. It's on something else that's going on in their life, a challenge that they're having. They're thinking about something else, and the prospect feels that. And they don't feel comfortable then going on. So keep your focus on prospect. That's the number one thing. The second thing is to really understand what your job is as a salesperson. And this is very easy, very simple. I'll keep it very, very short. It is not your job to convince your prospect to do what you want them to do. That's not your job as a salesperson. Your job is to help your prospect do what they want to do, what's in their best interest, what they believe is going to make their life better. And if you understand that difference, if you know that you're not there to try to talk them into doing what you want them to do, you're going to be so much more successful in your selling. It's absolutely phenomenal. And I've seen clients go from maybe their conversion rate was out of every 10 people that they talked to, maybe one person told them yes and became their client. And by the way, that's the national average for salespeople in the United States, 1 out of 10. And I've seen them go from that to 5 or 6 people out of 10 that were telling them yes, just because they weren't trying to talk them into doing something that they didn't want to do. They were just helping them do what the prospect wanted to do. I have one client up in Colorado. I've been working with them over about the last 5 years. And when we first started, their conversion ratio was 3 out of 10. That's a pretty good conversion ratio. That's 3 times the national average. After working together for a couple of months, and they're really understanding that it wasn't their job to talk people into doing something that they didn't want to do, that it was really just their job to help people, their conversion ratio went to 83% in 2 months. And there were some skills that they learned along the way that helped with that, but that was really the major attitude shift that happened. That will do more to up your sales than anything that I could possibly think of, just understanding that difference. And I mentioned this to you before. Stop doing sales presentations and start having sales conversations. Don't be the person who comes in with the charts and graphs and says, okay, I'm going to tell you how this works, and I'm going to educate you, and then I'm going to tell you, how this product works. Start having conversations. Start asking questions. Spend more time asking questions than you spend telling people things. and you will find that your conversion rate and your sales income will just absolutely skyrocket. I have had just such an incredible great time talking with you tonight. I hope you had a good time too. And Jess, I'm going to turn it back over to you to kind of finish up. And thank you guys again so much for taking your time to be with us tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Hugh. All right. Can we answer any questions for anyone tonight?
I have a question about your part of the business. With the marketing, do you concentrate on any one aspect of marketing, or do you more web-based, or do you more content marketing? I mean, there's no inbound, outbound.
Chris, thanks for that question. You know, I'm going to back up a little bit and answer that question from a little bit higher perspective. A lot of marketing training, marketing coaching will deal with specific vehicles or specific techniques like the web or print or a number of other ways to market. What I do is I help businesses first understand, like Hugh's doing with sales, to understand what's marketing in the first place and what makes it work. What is it about your company and about what you do that's special and that can help, and who is it that's looking for you? Now, when you know that, that becomes the key to being able to be in front of the right prospects. When you can couple what Hugh is telling you about how to talk to people and help them find solutions that they already want, you can couple that with a whole list of people who already want what you have, you've got the recipe for explosive sales. Because you can have that conversation with people who already came to you. So what I do is I help companies turn outward, learn that it's not about them in their marketing, not just in their sales. It's not just about them, but to turn outward and to put out a message that the people who are already looking for you right now can find you. When you know who those people are, then the technique, whether I go into the internet or social media, or whether I need a website, or whether I should be doing this with a rep, or whether I should be doing this through physical mail, or whether a billboard makes sense, all take shape. Because I now know who I'm trying to talk with and how they communicate and what the nature is of what we're trying to do. So we step back and you look at those answers. That's right. The message, the strategy, and asking the real deep questions of what is it that I provide and how does it benefit and who does it benefit? Because I can tell you right now, Chris, there are already people right now, as we speak, looking for your orthotics right now. The world's that big. And we live in a great world because we live in a world where they will find you. What Hugh's talking about is really true, because the old way of I'm going to confront you and kind of overpower you with how impressive I am is gone. Because people have access to things now they didn't have before. And so the social rules have kind of changed. And it's just not cool anymore for me to jump down your throat with my impressive resume. That's not okay. And so things have changed. Customers are in charge. They have the ability to go find out about you and compare you to your competition and even buy before you even knew they were there. So marketing has largely become a pull rather than a push. It's become, how do I become attractive to the people that are already looking for me? And so a lot of the traditional marketing training that you'll see will deal a lot in techniques and stuff we're good at building. My favorite is SEO. We'll get you a lot of web hits. Well, if those people aren't the ones looking for you, it won't matter. Won't do you any good. So I'd rather have 100 people look at my website that really are looking for me than a million people who don't care. Does that make some sense? So I help that happen, and I also go to the extent, like Hugh will as well, from the sales perspective, from the marketing perspective. I work with business owners and professionals with their own inner game, because that has such an influence on what you're doing and why. You know, Hugh talks about being able to make it not about you. I love what Tony Robbins said once. He said 90% of the challenges that all businesses face can be traced directly to the mindset of the owner. And that's so true, you know, and we're human beings. We've taken on this heroic thing of business, but we're still dealing with the stuff we have, you know, we still believe what we believe through our experience. And so I help business owners take a look at that too, and to actually affect that change which drives what they do. And so does that answer your question a little bit? So thank you for that. I appreciate that. And I love the way it fits with Hugh's approach for sales. And it's really a great partnership. And so taking this course and being able to just get those 2 hours even to sit down and really explore something can be very powerful. And also can lead you to be able to find other things that are going to be unique to you that you can't really find any other way. So, all right. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate your time tonight.